The passive tense is a very important German grammar topic. It is highly used to shift the focus from the person or the object that is performing the activity to the activity that is happening. For example, from Charvi is writing a letter to the passive form, the letter is being written by Charvi. Now, what is so important here and how do we formulate passive voice in German? Well, we use the verb werden in the passive along with the past participle form of the main verb. Only except when we use sein or worden. Sounds complicated? I promise to make it as simple as possible for you guys. So, let's begin. Hallo Lieblings! This is Charvi Sharma and you are watching my German series on Language Fluent called Learn German A2 in 15 days. Today is day 13 and we will be focusing on the passive tense. Just before we begin, a little about Language Fluent. We teach 16 plus foreign languages and also provide with translation, interpretation and overseas education services. To learn German officially with us, enroll for our course today. With that said, jetzt gehen wir weiter. Let's get on and learn the passive tense in German. The passive. Now, what is the passive exactly? The passive is a form of verb that is used when the subject of the verb is affected by action. What does this mean? Let us understand this with the help of an example. I was given, or we were told, or it had been made. These are a few examples that will help you understand why and what is the passive. Moving on to using the passive in the present tense. How do we use it? Well, here you go. In an active sentence, what happens exactly is that the subject is the person or the thing that is carrying out the action. Okay? And it is described by the verb. In an active sentence, pay attention. Now, the object of the verb is a person or a thing that the verb happens to. So, for example, Ryan hit me. So here, Ryan becomes the subject, hit is a verb, and me becomes the object. Now, coming on to an example and a better understanding for the same. So in German, just like English, we can turn active sentence into a passive one. For example, I was hit by Ryan, where I becomes the subject, was hit becomes the passive, and Ryan becomes the agent or the object. Now, let us learn how to form the passive tense in the present tense. So here we go. In German, the passive is formed using the verb werden, which means will be, and also the past participle of the main verb. So, we use the word von for the person or animal or organization mentioned in the sentence. For example, das Kind wird von einem Hund gebissen. Das Kind wird von einem Hund gebissen. Now this means the child was bitten by a dog. Now, another term that we use is durch, which means through. Now this is used for a thing. Now, how do we use it? I will place an example for the same. Die Tür wird durch den Wind geöffnet. Die Tür wird durch den Wind geöffnet. Now, what does this mean? The door is opened by the wind. So, here, durch is used for non-living things, while von is used for a person, object, or organization. Now, I am going to share a few tips with you for the same. Are you ready? These will help you catch the passive tense pretty well. Here you go. An indirect object can never become the subject of a passive verb. Always keep this in mind. The second important tip I'm going to give you is that the indirect object must remain in the dative case always. So, with either the direct object becoming the subject and the passive of the passive, or use of impersonal passive construction. Keep that in mind, it'll be dative. Okay, for an example, I'll state Ein Buch wird mir geschenkt. Ein Buch wird mir geschenkt. This means a book is given to me. Now I'm going to share a super amazing secret with you. And this is 3 tips and ways to avoid using the passive. Now you would ask me, why would I ask you to avoid passive? Well, because simply it's complicated. And it's always easy to formulate simple sentences unless absolutely necessary. But because passive is a very important grammar topic in German, you have to understand and learn passive. You cannot run away from it. But still, I'll share 3 ways of avoiding passive. The first way says that use the pronoun man, that means they or one, in an active verb. So, for example, you can say, Man hätte es mir schon gesagt. Man hätte es mir schon gesagt. This means that had already been told. Okay, the second way. Now, you can use sich lassen, along with a verb in its infinitive form. For example, you can say, das lässt sich machen. Das lässt sich machen. This means that can be done. Now coming on to the third way of avoiding the passive, you can use by using the active tense where the agent of the action is known. Now what does this mean? The example or Beispiel I'll use is Susi schenkte ihr ein Auto. Susi schenkte ihr ein Auto. This means Susie gave her a car. So, did you find this easy enough? Well, if you did, brilliant. If you did not, work upon it a little bit and I'm sure you'll catch it pretty easily. Okay, now we are moving ahead to the Übung, just to understand if you have understood the passive in the right manner. So are you ready? You have 10 seconds to convert these active sentences into passive ones. Here you go with the first question. The first one says, Ich lese das Buch. Ich lese das Buch. This means I'm reading the book. You have 10 seconds to tell me the answer. Time's up. So the answer is Das Buch wird gelesen. Das Buch wird gelesen. Okay, coming on to the second question. We have Ich frage meinen Bruder. Ich frage meinen Bruder. This means I ask my brother. You have 10 seconds to convert this into passive. Time starts now. Time's up. So the answer is Mein Bruder wird von mir gesagt. Mein Bruder wird von mir gesagt. Excellent. Coming on to question number 3, we have Du liest ein Buch. Du liest ein Buch. This means you are reading a book. Now convert this into passive in 10 seconds. Time's up. Das Buch wird von dir gelesen. Das Buch wird von dir gelesen. Okay, coming on to the fourth question of the day. We have Ich repariere das Auto. Ich repariere das Auto. I am repairing the car. So you have 10 seconds. Yes, so what is the answer? Absolutely right. Das Auto wird von mir repariert. Das Auto wird von mir repariert. Okay, coming on to the last question of the day. This decides how well you've understood the passive tense. Are you ready? The question says, Ich sehe dich. Ich sehe dich. This means, I'm watching you. You have 10 seconds to build the passive for this one. Time's up. So, please tell me you got this one right. Du wirst von mir gesehen. Du wirst von mir gesehen. Okay, cheers to you guys. You've understood the passive tense really well. And if you still have some doubts, then let us know in the comments below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Now, that's all for passive. Do practice it well, although you wouldn't be using it that often, but still, it's a must. Alright, if you like this video and of course if you liked me, do subscribe to our channel at Language Fluent. Hope to see you in the next video. Auf Wiedersehen. Bis dann.